Hi, welcome, Simon here, and hope you're doing well. In this video, I'll be replacing the MacBook Pro M1 Retina display screen. The model of this is A2338, and this is a 13-inch model. Alright, let's go ahead and turn on the computer. I'll show you what happened to my screen here. As you can see that the Apple logo came on just fine, and the boot up bar is loading. I'm going to cover up here because there's client's baby pictures. I do not want to be exposed on the internet, so just use a sticky note and covered it up. Alright, as you can see that there's a burn mark here on the top right corner. It's a little bit like dead pixel and dim, and there's a straight line running across. And the LCD screen, sometimes it would just like this black out. It turned black. There's no display whatsoever, and you still can see that little fine line running across here, but I know it's hard for you to see it on camera, but physically in real person you can see that the screen is just acting up. Alright, so what I'm going to do is to go ahead and turn off the computer. I'm going to press and hold the power button. I use the caps lock as a guide. I know that the caps lock is on, and I'm going to press and hold the power button until the caps lock goes off. That indicates that the computer shuts down. Alright, so the caps lock is off. Unplug the power, close the screen, and let's get right into it. So the first thing I like to do is get a Pentalope P5 screwdriver. This is a P5, and we need to remove all the screws here to get to the back plate. So the two screws on the top left and top right much longer compared to the screws here at the bottom. Especially the two screws right here in the middle, they are a lot more shorter. And again, what I'll do is I'll list all the tools and the replacement screen on the link down description below. I got them through Amazon. It's a full assembly LCD screen. It comes with the built-in webcam as well. So go check out the link. It is in the description down below. Alright, the next step is I'll be using a metal prying tool. What I like to do is to stick in between that back cover and the laptop to give myself a little space here to go underneath the cover, and I'm going to pop open that little clipper. So there is a clipper right here in the middle on the right side, and there's one here as well. That is why there's no screw holding it down. It's a clipper that clips down the back cover. So to get it pop open, what we need to do is to go underneath the cover and then kind of push it and separate them, and you're going to hear the little crack sound. Alright, that little pop sound here is just pop open the clipper. And you want to do the same on the other side. Okay, once you pop it open, and you can slide the back cover towards the body. So slide this back cover down towards the body, slide it down, and slide down on the other side, and you can just remove the entire back cover. Alright, just to point out again that that's the clipper right there. It's clipping down on the side here and clipping down on the other side. This is where you slide in to secure. To remove it, you're going to slide out. Alright, so once the back cover is removed, I'm going to focus here down a little bit. We are going to disconnect the battery. First, you need to peel this plastic cover off. Gently just peel it right off like that. Okay, I'm going to use a plastic prying tool. Go underneath the tape here. You're going to see the little black connector. The black connector is right there. What you need to do is to flip it open up the connector, and now you can slide a cable to your left to remove it. Okay, so slide it to the left to remove it, and that should be all we need to do. Okay, the next step is to get yourself a T5 screwdriver, Torx T5. I'm going to remove this screw here to fully disconnect the entire battery. Okay, so that is to disconnect the battery. Let's move on to the next step. I'm going to be starting from the top left corner using a T3, okay, Torx T3 screwdriver. I'm going to remove the screw here, and this plastic cover has 2 screws holding it down. Remove the 2 screws and remove the hinge plastic cover. Now you can expose that 3 screws for the LCD screen. Still using the T3, removing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws. So there are 6 screws right at the bottom bar here. I'll be using a T3 to remove them. And again, the screws are not all the same size, so do not mix match the screw. What I recommend you to do is probably take a picture right before you start working on it, print out the piece of paper, and as you remove the screw, you can put the screw on top of the paper as a reference so that you know where the screw came from, and later on you can just put them back together. Once I remove the 2 screws, this little metal bracket will just come right off. Okay. Alright, so I've removed all the screws. The next step, I'll be removing these 2 screws here, and that screw is to hold down the LCD connector. Okay, so let's remove that. 1 and 2 screws, and the bracket would just come right off, that little bracket there. And this is the LCD connector that connects from the motherboard to the LCD board. I'm using a plastic prying tool. Go underneath and then just lift it straight up and disconnect the that part right there. Okay, the next step is to remove and peel this plastic here, and this is the Wi-Fi connector that connects the Wi-Fi together, and it's kind of sticky. Alright, so I'm just gonna peel one side of it. There's no sense of peeling the entire thing off. I'm using a T5 screwdriver. Remove that screw right there. Okay, I'm going to put the Wi-Fi screw here on the side and go underneath to disconnect the Wi-Fi cable. There are 2 Wi-Fi cables. They are just like a circle sitting on top of each other as a connector. Okay, so once that is removed, leave it on the side. I'm going to work on the next step. Is the very far top right corner, T3, and that would be removing the hinge plastic. Okay, once the hinge plastic is removed, I'm going to work on the next step using a T5 screwdriver. Okay, Torx T5. I'm going to remove 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 screws holding down the Wi-Fi antenna and the LCD board. So 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. Okay, once you remove the 4 screws, you can see that the LCD board, the board is loose and ready to be disassembled. All right, before we can do any of the next process, here I have the Pentalope P2. Pentalope P2 is the 0.8. That is the size of this little 5 pointy bits that to remove all these small tiny screws that is holding down the Wi-Fi connector. So you want to take your time and you want to have the right tools for this. Okay, you cannot just try to find different tools because they're very precise screw and you need it for this repair. Just a quick reminder, if you're not sure where to buy the tools and the replacement screen, please check the link down description below. Okay, now if you happen to strip the screw for whatever reason, the screw was too tight, or maybe the way the screwdriver wasn't, you know, got a good grip when you turn that screw and you strip it. I have a separate video that I made just to show on how to remove a strip screw on the Wi-Fi antenna. Just go to my YouTube channel and try to search for a strip screw removal. You should be able to find, and I'll show you how to remove the strip screw if you got stuck to it. Okay. All right, once you're done with that process, now the next step is to remove the Wi-Fi antenna. All I do is just lift it straight up like that, and remember the screw earlier that we removed from here, and try to straighten out the Wi-Fi connector a little bit, because we need to slide this cable out. Okay, we're gonna slide this Wi-Fi antenna, we're gonna slide it here, and then we're gonna slide out the entire cable. All right, so it goes underneath that little hole, and we're gonna slide out that way. Next is to get a T8 screwdriver. We're gonna remove 3 screws here that's holding down the screen. And then there's another 3 more screws here on the right side. Okay, once you have removed that, the next step is to open up the screen. So I'm lifting up the screen here. I'm going to push the screen, open up all the way, okay, to the back, and slide that connector out, and slide that same hinge connector out like such. Okay, once I've removed that, I can just remove the entire screen separately. Okay, so this is the broken screen, and here comes the replacement screen. Now we just have to do the reverse process on how to install, making sure the hinge is all the way open. You can push the hinge all the way to the back, and the next step is to make sure that the LCD board and this flex cable here, the 2 flex cable, has to be sitting above the laptop, so they have to go on top of the laptop like such. Okay, and now the next step, what I like to do is to position the hinge and slide it back in there. Okay, position the hinge and slide it back down like such. Okay, now I like to do a double check, making sure that the flex cable, okay, the LCD board is up. On top of it, the flex cable is up. It is not pinched down or clipped down. Okay, so make sure it is not like get tangled or anything clipped down. Make sure it's sitting on top of it. While I'm still holding the screen on one corner, okay, while I'm still holding it down, I position that screw. I'm gonna, because we need to work with the screen closed, so the only way to do so is to put one of the screw here, tighten up that screw, okay, and do the same on the other side. We need to tighten up that screw. Okay, and now we can close the screen while the single screw is holding down the hinge, right? Check the flex cable, make sure they are not pinched down or clip onto. Make sure they are loose and sitting on top very easily. Come back and finish up the rest of the screw, the 2 screws more for the top left hinge. Come and finish it up. Gonna install 3 screws in total on the left side of it, and then 2 more screws here on the top right corner. Hey, if you're still following the video so far, I think you already crossed 60% of the way of the repair. And I'm just asking if you can just smash the like button for me. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I really appreciate you for liking the video so far and subscribing to my channel. All right, let's get back to here. The next step is to install the Wi-Fi antenna. So kind of make the little cable here a little bit straight. We're going to stick in between that tiny little hole right there. Okay, how to do that? Making sure that it is not behind or above. Okay, not like that. It has to be this way, because once you stick it in, and this thing can go on top of it, right? So making sure that you position it in the right angle. And now we're going to stick it in between that little hole right there. Okay, you can see that I'm going through that hole. At the same time, I'm catching it on the other side. So stick it all the way in, slide it in, and making sure that the metal is sitting on top of the motherboard. That's where the screw is going to go in. Okay, before I close it down, what I like to do is position my Wi-Fi antenna here, and I like to push it in the middle. There's a little clipper right there in the middle. You push it in, you can feel that the click, it clicks and hold on to the Wi-Fi antenna. Double check the cable. Are they all loose and free? Yes, it is, which is nice. All right, next step, I'll be putting some screws back on, going from right to left now. Reverse process, right? So I'm going to put the screw. This is using a Pentalope P2, a 0.8. That's the size of the screwdriver. You don't have to really tighten it real tight. I do not know why they have so many screws just for the Wi-Fi antenna. And again, because the screw is so small, and if you might have dropped the screw or misplaced the screw, it's not a big deal that if you miss 1 or 2 screws. In fact, you can actually miss all of them if you want, because I don't think the Wi-Fi antenna is going to run around. There are going to be 4 screws holding it down, right? There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So how would that Wi-Fi antenna be moving around? But anyway, I'm just saying that you don't really need all the screw, but if you happen to have all the screws in place, good for you. But for those of you who lost 1 or 2 screws, 3 or 4, doesn't matter, it's fine. Your computer will still work, it will still turn on, so it's not a big deal. Don't stress about missing some screws here, because I do get a lot of comments about missing screws. I'm fine with missing screws. Okay, anyways, almost done. I know this is the very tedious job, 1 screw at a time, and they're really tiny. I hope this video able to help you and save you some money. I heard that Apple charges quite a bit to replace the screen, but if you want to do it yourself, maybe this is probably going to cost you about $250 or less. I think the screen itself costs about $200. All right, next step is to push this thing, this LCD board, push it down. Okay, we're going to put the 4 screws here, 1, 2, 3, and 4, to hold it down with the Wi-Fi antenna. So that would be a T5, right? This is a T5 screwdriver, and a T5 screws holding it down like such. Okay, now you have 4 screws installed. The next step is to go ahead and install this little clipper right here. So the way it works right now, you have to tuck it in and then flip it backwards. Okay, flip it on top of it. So what I'm doing right now, pay attention to it, is I tuck this thing in, push it in, right, tuck it in, and then I once it's tucked in, and then you just want to slide it back to go into the bracket right there. Okay, while you're holding at it, and then just get the 2 screws. You'll be using a T3. Okay, slide it in and just install. You want to do the same on this side. Okay, I'm going to do the same here. So kind of tuck it underneath and then push it back in to slide it in, and then it will just stay right there. The 2 screws will just go back in it. Okay, once that is done, we're going to move on to the next step. I'm going to install this cable right here. You just want to pay attention to it. They're kind of like Lego. The connector needs to be matching on top of the other side of the connector, and when you push it down, you don't really have to force it in. It's more like a Lego. Once you have it in the right position, it will snap right back on very easily. So don't force it in. If you're forcing it in, that means you're not aligned it properly. Alright, next step is to make sure the bracket goes on top of it using a T3 screwdriver, and have the 2 screws go back on top of it, holding the bracket and that flex cable. Okay, once that is done, work on the second screw here. Okay, and now we're going to put the bracket on, covering up the connector, making sure the connector is secure. All right, if you still follow along so far, we are almost done. I just want to slide that plastic cover back in there. And just a quick reminder, if you haven't subscribed, please feel free to subscribe. And I really appreciate you for subscribing to my channel as well as liking it. Okay, just comment if you have any question, comment down below. If you do not have any questions, just say, hey, I watched your video or whatnot, and say thanks. I don't know, just say something in the comments. I really appreciate you for doing that and liking the video. Okay, all right, continue with the bracket here in the top left corner. That is done. Do not forget that little Wi-Fi screw here. Now you want to pay attention to it. Again, like I said, it is a circle connector that connects to the motherboard. So the connector, you just have to make sure you match it on top of that little circle. Do not force it in, okay? Please, please, please do not force it in. Because if you bend the connector, especially the motherboard connector, okay? So the circle itself, you just have to sit on top of it and gently push it down. You don't really have to force it in, okay? If you bend the connector on the motherboard, it is really hard to re-bend it back again, especially it is in a circle shape. Just pay attention to that connector, making sure you have the screw holding it down, and then put that little tape back to cover that up. Next, we are going to install this one screw here to install the battery back in together. And now you want to make sure that the connector is open, the little flipper connector is open, and the cable has to be slide in. So you're going to slide it in to the right, make sure you pay attention, like take your time, don't have to rush it. We're already almost done. I know you're anxious to turn on the computer, but now the important thing is not to break anything, right? So anyway, push it all the way in. Once you feel like you're being pushed in a little bit, what you want to do is get the tape to give you a little tug, right? You tuck it to the right, a little snuggle tug, and then do not forget to press the connector, gently push it back down, and it will secure and lock it in. Next is to have this little tape. Go back on top of it just to tape it down. Now the next step is the back cover. Again, remember I was telling you that you slide in, right? So what you want to do is you want to make sure you align the cover like such. Okay, maybe tilt it a little bit, and you want to slide it in a position where you're going to align the corner of the laptop. Okay, so kind of aligned it. It's not aligned. Reposition again. Kind of slide it in on one side. Now come here and do the same. If it doesn't work, I'll come back and redo it again. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. Okay, like such. It doesn't work on this side. Let me try here. What is going on? Okay, that is in. Okay, why did you come off? Okay, I know that you're in. I know that you're not in on this side. So I'm going to reverse a little bit and then push back. Okay, there you go. Just press on both sides. Clip it down. That's very important. You need to make sure you clip it down. Push it all the way in. Hey, I just wanted to ask if you want to show your appreciation, please go ahead and click on the YouTube Super Thanks. YouTube Super Thanks allow you to share your gratitude, to support my work, to support my channel. I really appreciate you for doing that. So go ahead and click on that YouTube Super Thanks for me. Any gratitude amount is definitely appreciation. Okay, I really appreciate you for doing all that. Since you stay here all the way at the end of the video, I like to share you a little secret, because remember how we disconnect the battery at the very beginning for the screen repair. Once you reconnect the battery back together, you definitely need to plug in the charger. So if you try to turn on the computer right now, maybe not, the computer would power up. So sometimes the computer doesn't power up once you disconnect the battery for a long period of time. So get the charger ready, plug it in, and now you can try to turn on the computer. Okay, I can see that the Apple screen comes on. For my customer privacy, I do not want to show their face, so I'm going to use this to cover it up. And remember how that on the top right corner there was this little burn spot and a flickering screen here line. Right now it's gone. Look at that, and it stays on. I can see my mouse here is moving. Perfect. So anyway, I'm going to shut it down, and where is that little arrow here? Shut down. Okay, so anyway, thanks for watching. And again, if you want to show your appreciation, please click on the YouTube Super Thanks. I really appreciate you for doing that. Just thanks for sharing the gratitude. I hope that this video helped you to save some money. All right, until next time, bye now.